Welcome back to the Tournament Center. I'm Randy Buehler here with Brian David Marshall. The first 6 rounds of two-headed giant action are in the books. Day 1 of Pro Tour San Diego is over, and sitting in first place is...
a so-so team.
A so-so team. The Rakdos Augur Mage, in fact.
Along with his brother Joe So.
Terry So, Joe So, 6-0, undefeated on day 1. We had 195 teams show up for this Pro Tour. 67 of them put up the 4-2 mark necessary to advance to day 2. 3 of them are undefeated, and Terry and Joe lead the pack on tiebreakers. The second team, I found a fascinating story. Second place on tiebreakers. Here you got Jacob Von Lunen, Chris Lockman. These guys, Table 1, we talked about it before. The first pod of the last draft was ridiculous. John Finkel, Dave Humphreys, 5 guys that drafted Finkel's apartment in Manhattan all the time. Names, Hall of Famers everywhere, and then Lockman and Van Lunen are sitting on the other side of the table getting every terrible card they could possibly imagine. These guys forced slivers, virulent slivers. They had 6 virulent slivers in the second pod. They had screeching slivers and decked guys in the first pod. And in the third pod, round 5, who'd they play?
They played against John Finkel and Josh Ravitz, and they poisoned them to death.
Round 6.
They played against Hall of Famer Dave Humphreys and Grand Prix Columbus winner Steve Sadin.
And?
They poisoned them to death with like a chroma-like flying, don't take the first point of damage, don't tap to attack, must be blocked by 2 creatures. Oh yeah, they're pro-red.
They always had two-headed sliver. It seemed like a two-headed.
They had 2 of them in that draft.
Yeah, and then on the last turn, it was I was talking to Humphreys, and the two-headed sliver was in play. They drew a second virulent sliver, so Humphreys only had 8 blockers. They could only block like 4 guys, so the other 4 got through for 8 poison counters, and
they had picked up 2 poison counters early. Those first 2 poison counters always get in.
Yes.
Aaron Forsythe said earlier after watching that match, he said there's a new public enemy number 1 tomorrow, and it's virulent sliver.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if these guys can get away with this on day 2, but they shocked the world today.
And the way they were doing it was they're not taking those cards early.
Yeah, they take the good cards the first lap around, and then the slivers come back around because nobody is forcing slivers except them. So there you go, 6-0. The third team sitting on 6-0, Japanese guys.
Yeah, it's Japanese guys. It's Yuta Takahashi and Kentaro Yamamoto. It was one of the players I overheard was looking at the standings, and he said, I don't know who these guys are, but I have to assume that they'll each top 8 3 Pro Tours within the next year.
Sounds about right. And there's a ton of talent at 5-1. There's also, the big thing I think is going on this weekend is the Player of the Year race. This is a huge Pro Tour for Player of the Year race, and so I was watching the top 10 in the last round. The last round was brutal for the top 10 players in the Player of the Year race. Kenji Samura through to day 2, but he lost in the last round to get it 4-2. Squeaks in. Well, he had clinched it the round before. He backs in. Tomohiro Saito got a little lucky. The bye in the last round. 3-2, picks up the bye. They're through, but then Guillaume Wafotapo loses the last round with his back against the wall. He's out. Raphael Levy loses the last round. He and Wilfred Ranke got knocked out. Mike Cron had scrubbed out a round earlier at 2-3. Olivier Ruel loses the last round, knocked out at 3-3. Just brutal for those guys. 9 of the top 10 were still playing in the 6th round. They're only going to be 5 tomorrow.
It really opens up the race for Kenji.
Yeah, and you got Paul Cheon. He got through. He was the one. That was the one team that won in the last round. He and his buddy Luis Scott Vargas. Heasy lost in the last round. He's still through. He was sitting 4-1, but he'll be 4-2 with some work to do. Usawa back against the wall, lost in the last round. Kurihara got through at 5-1. He's the only guy in the top 10 who's in great shape. But yeah, with Kenji and Saito through, we still got 8 rounds of Magic left to play.
A lot of Magic. You have the 2 American players again, Cheon and Heasy.
Cheon and Heasy, I think they're the guys the door is open for at this point. Kenji and Saito have a chance to move ahead, maybe pad their lead that they've been building up on the Grand Prix circuit. Or yeah, you could totally see Cheon or Heasy make a run here. The way this format goes today, this weekend is kind of interesting. There's 6 rounds today, there's 6 rounds tomorrow, and then there's 2 more rounds on Sunday. So we're actually less than halfway through the Swiss rounds of this tournament right now. Room for people to make a move. And I've been watching the top 20.
It's just stacked.
It is stacked. The top 10 didn't do great in the last round, but if you look at the players that are sitting on 5-1, you got Camille Cornelissen and Julian Naughton are sitting on 5-1. That's a kick-ass team. Quentin Martin and Ruud Warmenhoven are sitting on 5-1. Sam Gummersall and Craig Krempels are sitting on 5-1. Eugene Harvey and John Fiorello got through. Carlos Ramal got through. But then there's that Pod 1 table. For me, that was the story of the day, was just the way that Finkel Draft, John Finkel's apartment in Manhattan, has been hosting Magic drafts for 2 years now. They've been drafting, they've been keeping stats, they've been drafting, they've been keeping stats. A bunch of them qualified for this Pro Tour. They all have been drafting constantly. I know you've been there. And so pod number 1, with the last round of the day, you had 5 Finkel drafters there. None of them won the pod, but Steve Sadin and Dave Humphrey sit at 5-1. John Finkel and Josh Ravitz sit at 5-1. Those guys are in great shape. They seem totally on top of the format. Those are the teams I'm going to be watching.
Are those
tomorrow.
the best day 1 finishes for Hall of Famers at this point?
I mean, Raphael Levy seems like he's always putting up a 5-1, so probably not.
Okay.
I mean, he's got a top 16 on the Pro Tour already.
Yeah, that's true.
So this side of Raphael Levy, this might be the best day 1.
Class 1, year 1 class.
Sure, guys dusting off the rust.
Yeah.
And making a run. What's your favorite memory of the day?
I mean, someone running up to me and saying, I just poisoned someone to death on turn 3 of my match.
Was it Lockman and Van Lunen?
It was Lockman and Van Lunen.
Giggling about it 3 rounds
and
ago.
kind of knowing, despite the fact that I'm obviously personally rooting for Sadin and Finkel, kind of knowing in my heart that Lockman and Van Lunen were going to win the table, because there's no way that the class of players that were at the table, there's no way they're going to have the respect for those bad cards.
The verdict in on this format yet? What do you think?
I think it depends on who you talk to, right?
It's fair. It really felt like the guys who were 3-3 were like, 1-game matches, this format's too random. And then the guys on 5-1 are like, we practiced, we came up with this strategy, this format's awesome.
We're having a lot of fun.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think the jury is still out on the format. It's clearly fun.
I think everyone agrees that the format's fun.
Yeah.
And people think that there's a lot, people have said there's a lot more to it than they thought there was going to be coming in. And I've heard that all the way across the board.
Still be nice if there was time to play 2 out of 3.
That would be great. And you know what? If you're doing it at home, you can do that.
That's true.
It's a fun format. It's a really fun way to interact with your friends.
All right.
Play some good Magic.
That's the scene from day 1 of Pro Tour San Diego. Come back tomorrow. 6 more rounds, 3 more drafts. We'll find out who's going to get to the top, who's going to make that run at that $50,000 first prize. For Brian David Marshall, this is Randy Buehler signing off from the Tournament Center.
Don't miss out on your chance to get an exclusive Rhea Dawnbringer promo foil at Magic Game Day. On Saturday, July 14th, you can get your hands on a never-seen-before promo. Participate in a full day of Magic gaming and join exciting contests that are free to enter. For more information on game days in your area, go to www.wizards.com/magicgameday.